Hey everyone, and welcome to this video. And in this video, I will be talking about how I personally configure GoRouter in my Flutter projects. So I'm also going to explain a little bit about why a good navigation structure is important for a good navigation experience for your users. So let's check it out. Let's start with a disclaimer. Like I said, this is my personal experience and my personal preferences on which I've based everything that I do in this video. So there are often many ways to achieve the same results. Mine is just one of them. So feel free to ignore whatever I'm trying to teach you or adapt it to fit in your own projects. So let's take a look at what we're going to do in this video. And we will be creating a small cave explorer game. And in this game, the player has to navigate through a cave by choosing directions and finding the treasure room. If you want to code along, you can get the source code from my GitHub page, or you can either use it later and play around with it after the video and just watch what we're going to do. So let's take a look at the code and the project. And there we are. So let me run the project real quick. And let me explain what the project currently looks like. So it's really simple. I've created two types of rooms. It's as a default room, which allows you, the user, to navigate. And there is another room, which is the treasure page, which is the end goal of the whole game. The main is really simple. It just creates a Cave Explorer router, which is the important part of this video, and a Cave Explorer app. And if you take a look at the Cave Explorer app, it's also really basic. The only thing I did was override the transitions, the page transitions, because they, yeah, did not really match the vibe of the game, because on iOS it will be sliding in from the side while we're actually going mostly deeper into a cave. So small explanation why that is. And we have a Cave Explorer router. So this is the main part of this video where we're going to be talking about and working with. Meanwhile, the simulator has started. So let's see what this current configuration looks like. As you can quickly see, there are only two pages for this, what we're going to build upon. This is the default room page that has the navigation. As you can currently see, it has one option, and it's to go down one way. And if I press on it, I end up in the treasure room. And I can go back with the back navigation. So if we're going to take a look at the code, you will see in the routes the same very structure, but let's first take a look at the router itself. So my personal preference is to extend GoRouter and make a really explicit router on my own. And the reason why I do this is because I can then really easily add these nice little navigation helper functions, which allow me to keep navigation logic within the router. One important thing to note is that if you're going to extend GoRouter, you have to extend it using the routing config named constructor. You can give it an initial location. Most of the time it will just be a slash. And you have to pass in a routing config, which is actually a value notifier containing a routing config object. And that has to hold the routes of your app. And that is what we've defined at the bottom of this page. To continue, well, I just mentioned the helper functions real quick, but I really like this. And I will show you in a moment why I like this. I also add the static off method, which is probably familiar for you because it's very common to have this in Flutter because of the inherited widget structure. And on top of that, I really like to create an extension method on this build context to make it even more cleaner to grab this. So what this will allow you to do is use the context and then get access to the cave router immediately. And this is why I like having those functions. Because if I just grab this, I can really easily get a sense of what I can do with this router because it auto-completes all the go-to actions that I've defined. So that is what I really like and why I'm doing this. Yeah, so as you can see, these are the routes. So here is where we're going to configure the structure of a game. And talking about the structure of a game, let's take a quick look at the slides again. Because this is what we will be building. This is a floor plan that I came up with. And this floor plan is the part that we are going to build. So we have an entry page, the start. But let's start with creating room A. As you can see, A does not lead anywhere except go back up. So this will be a dead end. So that will be very easy for us to build as our first room. So let's take a look. Go back into the code. And we're inside our entry. And every time we go down, I will show you once more in the slide, we have back navigation. So we go down into the cave. And if we use the back navigation, it means that we're going back up into the cave. So that's kind of the metaphor that we're using. And you can see that a room only has one parent, so it can only go up to its parent. Okay, so let's create room A. As you can see, room A has to be a child of this one. The treasure room we currently don't need because it will be ending up in a different location. So let's add a GoRouter. Yeah, usually I only tend to use paths, but in this case, with the current setup, it's also nice to have names because that's how I created this function. So as you can see, I made this one go to room and you pass it a name, it's go named. So it will look up this name and tell GoRouter how to navigate to it. So I'm going to add a builder and it will be a normal cave room. So just cave room page. Cave room page has no further navigation actions. So this is already room A. So if we restart, and restarting is important because or else the state of the router does not change. We can see that if we go down now, no, we're forgetting something. We have to obviously have to go to room A. So restart again. And now we're going to room A. We're seeing this warning because every time a room has no navigation, it's a dead end. So we will be shown this warning. So that's actually it. That's room A. Let's take a look at the next. So the other two rooms that we can go from the entry are B and C. And you notice that not B and C only can go down, but they also have a link between each other. So they're navigating between the same level. So let's build this triangle navigation by adding B and C and the navigation action between them. So go back to the code. Let's first add these two rooms. I'm going to change them to B and C. So now they are there. We also have to obviously add navigation to these rooms from the entry. So we have to change them to B and C. So this will allow us to go from the entry room to these sub pages and rooms. And to add the navigation between B and C, we can add, for this one, we want to go right. So we can grab the router and we'll say we're going to C. And then for C, we're gonna basically do go in the opposite direction. So we're going to go left, back into B. So this configures that triangle that we just taken a look at. So let's test it out. As you can see, we have now the three options. The first one will still take us to the dead end of A. The second one will take us into B, which currently only has a right navigation. And if we go to the right navigation, we end up into C, and C only has a left navigation currently. And obviously they can also go up. And the same for this one, we can go up. So that's that one. Let's take a look at the floor plan again. So next up, we can add the same kind of triangle that we've just built, but then for B. So let's go back into the code. And these will be child routes, sub routes for B. So let's do a nice little copy again. And they have two rooms, which will be D and E. Well, we obviously have to be able to go down there. So we have to add a list of down actions, D and E. And to navigate between those two, we can do the same as what we've done with this one. This one will go to E. And this one will have to go left. And it will go back into D. So if we now refresh, go back into the simulator. A is down one is to A, this one is to B. B now has the two options to go down. If we end up in D, we can go right to E, go back, but we can also go back up. So that's that triangle already done. Let's take a look at the last part. So the last part is this section of C to the treasure and F, which is another dead end. So let's create those as well. Those are subroutes of E. So we're gonna add another route. Just gonna grab A again, easier. And this is gonna be F, which is another dead end. And of we're adding it to the wrong one. It has to obviously be a part of this one. And we're just gonna use this one, which is the treasure room. To edit. So we now defined it. We obviously have to add the down actions again. So we can go to room F and we can go to room, well, not G because it does not exist. So we go to treasure. Let's move it around to match the exact structure. But now, if we restart, we should have completed our floor plan. So we can go down to room C. From here we can go to the dead end of F. Yes, that works. We can go back to B, back to C, and from C we can go to the treasure room. And now the user has finished the treasure hunt because they found the treasure. So that's it. That's our tiny little game. We can make it more complex if we want, but I think you get the idea. So let's talk a little bit about why this structure and a good navigation structure is helpful. So as you can see, you can already see in a glimpse, like you get a sense of the structure of the app because of this. You can see what is nested, just like with your widget tree, you know what is inside what. So that's already one nice example of why it's very good. The other thing is that GoRouter is based on Navigator 2.0, which is a declarative way of navigating. So if you tell GoRouter to go to the treasure page, it will know what the tree looks like and it will add these pages to the complete stack. So this is also what makes it possible to have the automatic back navigation. As we just saw in our example, if we go into the cave, we have a back navigation. That's not something that we had to add, because if we take a look at this treasure page, for example, we just add the add bar, but the add bar will automatically imply a back button if it knows that it can be popped back. And because GoRouter does create a navigation stack based on what we tell it to go to. So if we say go to F, it will not just show the F page, but underneath it will also put C on the stack, and it will also put the entry on the stack. So that was what will make it allow for the back navigation. So that's really nice. The other thing is that it's also really helpful for deep linking. Like it gives you the nice /product article number way of defining your routes. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I will leave it with this. Obviously, GoRouter and Flutter apps have way more complex types of navigation. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but if you would like me to cover more complex things in the future, just leave a like or a comment, subscribe, and that way I will know that you've enjoyed the video and it's worth for me to work on it. So hopefully you liked it, and hopefully till next time. Have a nice day. Bye bye.